ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الهداة المهديين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ملعنين. أما بعد, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these ayyam, for the sake of this aza and these tears, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives our sins. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the sins of our parents. O Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. O Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, those that have asked for du'as, those that are hopeful for children, those that are wishing to get married, those that are going through difficulties, Ya Allah, for the sake of the barakah of this night and the madlumiyat of Abi Abdullah, Ya Allah, grant all those that have brought requests tonight all of their hajat. Ya Allah, give us all tawfiq to go on the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein this year and every year. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq for Hajj and Umrah. Ya Allah, accept the azah of all the azadar of Imam al-Hussein, wherever in the world they may be. Ya Allah, keep safe the azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Ya Allah, the Shuhada of Damascus in the bomb blast earlier today, Ya Allah, for your sake, for the sake of Abi Abdullah, Ya Allah, those Shuhada, grant them a place with Imam al-Hussein in Jannah. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu in whichever form they may come. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of Yusuf Zahra and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true awaiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that you brothers and sisters have brought. Please recite 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Our discussion point since the first of Muharram has been the sifat, the characteristics of Insaan-ul-Kaamil. And we had said that the Insaan-ul-Kaamil is the one that possesses all of the characteristics and the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within His Zat. That He is the manifestation of every single one of the asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the earth. And so when one possesses all of the sifat and all of those characteristics of Allah, then that individual becomes wajhullah, he becomes aynullah, he becomes yadullah, he becomes lisanullah, because every single one of his actions is in line with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from him. And he becomes the reason for the increase or the disbursement of the mercy and the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amongst all of makhluk. In fact, the Insaan-ul-Kaamil receives all of the sifat of Allah direct first, and then through him the rest of existence receives it. As a result of the barakah of his wujud, everything continues to exist. And we said that the Insaan-ul-Kaamil is none other than Rasulullah and the A'imma alayhimus salam, that all of them possess these characteristics. The Insaan-ul-Kaamil, you can look at it as one entity that manifests in different times, in different places, in different forms. Otherwise, the essence is exactly the same. The Noor is one, and it has traveled throughout time from primordial realms until this point when Yusuf al-Zahra is upon this earth, and the manifestation of those asma of Allah is still being seen today. Because were it not the case, لَوْلَا هُجَّ لَصَاخَتِ الْأَرْضُ بِأَهْلِهَا, were it not for the hujjah of Allah, the earth would collapse in on itself. Because we said that the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds that He is the glue that holds together all of existence. And so, although they may have been different individuals, but their essence was the same. أولنا محمد آخرنا محمد وأوسطنا محمد. This is what is meant by that narration. وكلنا محمد. All of us are the one same being, one same essence, that primordial nur that Allah created before anything in existence. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And so we have looked at the various characteristics and how it is that we, as mortal human beings, need to try and inculcate those characteristics within ourselves. And we've looked at various of those, and you'll remember them. Today I want to look at one, and then I'm leaving one of the more difficult ones for the ziyarah majlis, where we will talk about bala and why it is that bala comes upon the awliya of Allah, those that are the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But today I want to talk about one characteristic, and that is the observation of huquq-un-nas, the rights of the other human beings, the rights of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the Insaan-ul-Kaamil manifests this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests this, that His justice does not allow Him to do dhulm upon His creation. And the Insaan-ul-Kaamil is exactly like this. When the Holy Prophet, and you all know this is a famous riwayah, so I'm passing past it very quickly. The Holy Prophet tells the people that he is soon going to be leaving this world. And all the people come, and he says, if there's anyone whose right I have infringed, come and take it. And one man stands up, says, Ya Rasulullah, you once hit me accidentally with a whip, and I want to take back or have my revenge for that. Insaan-ul-Kaamil, the Holy Prophet says, that's fine. He takes off his shirt, he says, strike me where I struck you. And the man says, no, I just wanted to kiss the Muharram. I just wanted to see this one last time and kiss it. But you see justice. Amir al-Mu'mineen, someone comes to him and says, you've stolen something from me. This ride is mine, or this armor is mine. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, fine, let's take it to court. When the judge sees Amir al-Mu'mineen says, now I'm not your Amir, I'm not your Imam. Don't judge based upon the fact that I am the Imam or the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You judge me as a normal person. And that individual had witnesses, and the case went against Amir al-Mu'mineen. The point being, huquq-un-nas, that justice is something that cannot be compromised, and the rights of other makhlooq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be compromised. Even Sayyid al-Shuhada, when he reaches Karbala, the first thing he does is that he buys the land of Karbala from Bani Asad. They say, Imam, no, this is for you. You can say. He says, no. He says, I will buy this land from you, for this is where I will be buried. And I will give you extra money. For what? That when people, after my death, this will be made into a place where our Shi'as will come and visit. And so for 3 days, I want you to take care of our Shi'as that come to Karbala for my ziyarah. And this is where we get the recommendation that a person should not stay more than 3 days in the land of Karbala. No more than 3 days. If you want to stay longer than that, then the recommendation is leave Karbala, go to Najaf for a day, go somewhere else for a day, then come back. So that it doesn't become normal for you. It doesn't become, your heart doesn't become hardened to the difficulties that Sayyid al-Shuhada. Because the first time you enter into Karbala, there is a huzn, there is a sadness that enters the hearts, especially those hearts that have been illuminated, those hearts that have some connection with Allah. When they enter into that land of Karbala, especially within the area of the wilaya, near the haram of Sayyid al-Shuhada and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, it has a different environment. And so that's why the Urafa, the awliya of Allah, didn't stay for more than 3 days within Karbala. In fact, even people like Ibn Fahd al-Hilli would, although living, he would live outside of Karbala and then come inside Karbala for his ziyarah, then go outside. And they would believe, like there were many adab that the awliya of Allah observed in regards to Karbala. They would not go to the toilet within the wilaya area out of the respect of the sanctity of that land. Now obviously it's different. There's hotels everywhere and everybody's going wherever they can. But you know, at that time, the awliya of Allah would respect the sanctity of the wilaya, because this is blessed land. Muqaddas Ardubili rahmatullah alayhi would come to the border of Karbala and he would remove his shoes. فَخْلَعْ نَعْلَيْكَ فَإِنَّكَ بِالْوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ الطَّوَى. Because remove your shoes, for you are entering into a sacred valley. These were all of the adab of the land of Karbala. But the whole point was the Sayyid al-Shuhada brought this land. So it would come under his control. So whenever his Shi'as would come, they would not be on the land of someone else. So it's very important, this observation of huquq-un-nas. It's so important that on Shab-e Ashur, this night, when Imam al-Hussein had gathered his companions, he told them that if there is any one of you that has a single loan or a debt on your neck, leave. I don't want anyone that has huquq-un-nas on their neck to be alongside us tomorrow. Go and repay that debt. And this is why we have many narrations that even the shuhada, the moment the first drop of their blood falls upon the earth, all of their sins are forgiven, except huquq-un-nas. Imagine, shaheed in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All his sins are forgiven, except those where he has infringed the right of another human being. Some of the narration says that some of the shuhada will be stopped at the doors of Jannah. For what? For 3 dirham that they owed to a Jew. for 3 dirham that they owed not to another Muslim, to a Jew. I said to you the other night that there are certain things that transcend Muslim and non-Muslim, that transcend, someone who is a monotheist and a polytheist. It doesn't matter. Huquq-un-nas is one of them. Keeping your promises, maintaining the trust and respect of the parents. This doesn't matter whether your parents are Muslim or non-Muslim, whether the person you've taken a loan from is a Muslim or a non-Muslim. It still remains upon your neck. Huquq-un-nas is very important. And we trample this right in many different ways. Ghiba being one of the most common ways. Where I speak, I've seen something bad about someone, a sin that someone has committed. And then I go and I tell someone who doesn't know about it. Or I spread rumors about someone. That becomes tuhmat. Again, infringement of huquq-un-nas. Something is true. Sometimes people are like, no, it's not ghiba because what I'm saying is true. The fact that you're telling the truth, a true bad trait of someone, that's what makes it ghiba. If you were telling a lie, that would be tuhmat. And ghiba is that one sin for which there is no forgiveness. There is no forgiveness until the person who you have done backbiting about forgives you. Until that person forgives you. Nobody else, Allah Himself says, I won't forgive you until that person has forgiven you. There is no way out from it. If you say something or you're sitting in the company where other people are doing ghiba and you listen to it. And you listen to it. There is no forgiveness. And it's really common for us. It's just one of the things that we like doing. Talking about other people. Spreading rumors about other people makes us feel good. It really makes us feel good. And I've said here before, and a lot of different places, that what is the sign that this ghiba, this disease is so entrenched within us? Because the moment someone comes to us and says, look, I may have been party to some ghiba about you, rather than saying, I've forgiven you, the first thing I say is, what did you hear? I want to hear my own ghiba. Like, what are people saying about me? Really? Because I can't, it's so entrenched within me. The disease is so deeply entrenched that it's just common. It's just on our tongues all the time to talk about other people. But ghiba is not just what you say. Not just what you say. The Holy Prophet was walking and one of his wives, Safiya, was slightly shorter. And the other wife, walking behind her, made a sign with her hand, like in a gesture, in a funny way, to try and make fun of her that she's short, towards the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet says, you've done ghiba. Says, oh no, but I was... Says, it doesn't matter whether or not you say it with your tongue. Even your actions. When certain people are sitting and they're talking, and then someone says something, and you and your friend are there, and this third person is saying something, and you look at your friend and you roll your eyes. Ghiba. You're making fun of a person. Those rolling of your eyes, the sly comments that you make about people, all of this is infringing huquq-un-nas. Sometimes, aside from ghiba, now there's no forgiveness for ghiba until the person that you have done ghiba about forgives you. And you don't have to tell them what was said. Just say, I may have been party to some ghiba about you. If you can find it in your heart, please forgive. And the person who has had ghiba about you said, don't inquire as to who was it that was saying it, because now you're adding to the ghiba. Because the moment they tell you this person was saying, now you're party to that ghiba. Because ghiba is when something bad is being said about you, that's true. But now you're trying to ask for someone else's. So we do this all the time. We pass the sins from one place to another place to, we just like pass the parcel with all our good deeds. Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, there will be a man that will come forward and he will have lots of good deeds, he will have done everything, but when it comes to huquq-un-nas, they'll be like, actually you did ghiba about someone, here you go. All of your good deeds go to this person. And guess what? All of his bad deeds are with you from ghiba. So ghiba is the first thing. The other thing is through our sly comments. This infringes huquq-un-nas. We were like someone, oh yeah, my husband is really good. Knowing that this other person's husband, other lady's husband, that is, put that caveat in there. This other lady's husband is not a good person, right? But what I will do is I will say these things in order to make myself feel better, but make the other person feel terrible about themselves. I know someone's going through a hard time in life, but I'll rub it in their face that my life is so great. Like, yeah, alhamdulillah, we're thinking of going on holiday again. Well, this person is telling you, I'm going to struggle to pay my mortgage this month. Some people are that blind or emotionally unintelligent, or so diseased in their soul that they can't stop themselves. It's those sly comments that are, or even, you go up to someone and be like, oh, so you haven't had any kids yet? What is your concern? Why must you probe? Someone gets divorced, so you're not getting married? Knowing that it is a painful subject for the person, but everyone constantly see the person, and I know of people that can't or won't attend masajid because of this situation. As soon as they walk in, oh, so you're not married yet? It's a painful situation. This is an infringement of huquq-un-nas. With the way that we approach people, the things that we say. And then we expect the shifa'ah of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. There's no shifa'ah when you infringe huquq-un-nas. There's no forgiveness. From amongst the major adab of the qabr, there are three things that will definitely bring you adab of the qabr and the fishar of the qabr, the crushing of the grave. The first, interestingly, the vast majority of adab in the qabr will be as a result of urination, your toilet manners. A person who doesn't wash themselves after the toilet. A person who just, lets it go, doesn't matter if it's going on their clothes, it doesn't, no concern. This is why in Islam it's makruh to stand and use the toilet. Mustahab to sit down. This is the vast majority of adab that will fall upon a person in the grave is as a result of the way that they use the toilet, as a result of their urination, the lack of tahara. The second is because of gossiping. Taking what I hear here to those over there. And then from them, take it back here. And the Holy Prophet in the Holy Quran is being told by Allah, don't trust the one that gossips. Says, do not take the advice of one that is known for being a gossiper. And then the third thing is the one that infringes the haqq of the people. The one that upon the sirat, which is 7,000 years long, on the day of judgment, 7,000 years long, There is one maqam that is known as the maqam of mirsad. And that is specifically 1,000 years spent analyzing your huquq-un-nas. Did you break the trust of someone? Did you take money and not repay that person? Sometimes we take money and we forget about it. But Allah doesn't forget. And the other person who we borrowed the money of is so humble that they won't ask for it, even though they may need it. But I won't repay it because I'm like, oh, he's not asked for it. It's okay. Because it's not a concern for me. It doesn't keep me awake at night. The people who I borrowed money of. But on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it will be a concern. It will be a major concern. The Holy Prophet asked his companion, who is the poorest of people? And they say, Ya Rasulullah, the one that has no money, the one that has no house, the one... Says, no. Says, the poorest of people is on the day of judgment. A man will come with so many a'mal, a white scroll. It will be shining with the a'mal that he's done. Ziyarat, Hajj, Umrah, all of these things. Guaranteed Jannah. As he goes towards Jannah, someone will call out, Ya Allah, this man infringed my right. He borrowed money off me, or he did ghiba about me, he did something. So stop him. Repay the debt. Ya Allah, I've got no money. I don't have any. I took $1 off him 20 years ago. Repay it. I don't have any dollars. Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's okay, no problem. We'll take its equivalent from your a'mal. We'll take its equivalent from your a'mal. You got lots of ziyarat, lots of hajj, umrah. One by one they start going. Others come forward. He said this, he did ghiba about me. This person comes forward. He took money from me. One by one, this wife comes forward. He oppressed me. One by one, people come. This individual starts giving away his a'mal to these people. One by one, all of them. Until nothing is left. Nothing is left. They say, okay, make a U-turn, to hell you go. You've got nothing left. You don't have the entry ticket into heaven because you spent your life infringing the right of other human beings. So straight to hell you go. Straight away a person goes. And then the one that takes the haqq of Ahlul Bayt, the haqq of Ahlul Bayt is what? Your khums, from your earnings, from your savings. The individual that does not pay his khums from his savings is the ghasib of the haqq of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. No point sending la'na on the ghasib of Fatima Zahra when you yourself are the ghasib of the haqq of Ahlul Bayt. That person who takes away the haqq of the hujjah of Allah, where's his place? Straight away to hell. So there are many huquq that we have to watch out for. We have to be careful about. The haqq of the wife over the husband. When it comes to the husband, the majority of rights, he only has 2 in a marriage. Everything else is the right of the wife over the husband. He only has 2. Everything else. That he must house her. He must clothe her. He must feed her. He must raise his children as well. We culturally do it the other way around. Right? We're like, the wife is going to raise the children. No. The haqq or the rights that the children have over the father, it is the number 1 place for tarbiyah is the father. The father must raise his children alongside his wife. But she by default is not required to raise his children. The onus is upon the husband. He must pay for the raising of his children, pay for the marriage of his children, pay for their tarbiyah, their clothing. Hatta he must even pay for the kafan of his wife. And that's why in inheritance, a man gets 2/3 and a lady only gets 1/3. Because all of these huquq are upon him. Even if his wife is a millionaire, he has no right over a cent from her money. What is hers is hers. What is yours is hers as well. A man has no huquq. This is why the man has more. And then from amongst the right that she has is when he enters the home, then he must enter in a nice way. Say salam. Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِذَا دَخَلْتُمْ بُيُوتًا فَسَلَّمُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِكُمْ. When you enter into your home, send salam upon those that are living in that house, upon your wife, your children. Send salam. The narration from the fifth Imam, he says a man who enters into his home, says salam to his wife and his children, then recites 1 time Surah Tawheed, Surah Ikhlas, Surah Qul Huwallah, just 1 time after saying salam to his family, Allah will remove poverty from his home, not just his home, but for 40 houses in every direction. As a result, the right of the children and the wife over the man. We infringe these huquq on a daily. The rights of the parents over the children. Look at what the fourth Imam says in Risalatul Huquq. He says, and the right of your mother is that you should know أنها حملتك حيث لا يحمل أحدا أحدا وأطعمتك من ثمرة قلبها لا يطعم أحدا أحدا. That her right is this, that you should acknowledge that she carried you in a place where nobody carries anyone, and she fed you from the fruit of her heart, a food that nobody feeds anyone, and she bore all of the difficulties, she bore all of the heaviness and the difficulties of the pregnancy. تباشر حر الدنيا وبردها لك دونك. All of the difficulties of this dunya until the divine hand expelled you upon the earth. And then she did not care whether she was hungry as long as you had eaten. She did not care if she was thirsty as long as you had drank. She did not care whether she sat in the shade, whether she sat in the sun, as long as you sat in the shade. She did not care whether she slept as long as you slept. Says she did everything for you. Her bosom was your drink. Her soul was your fort. Her lap was where you felt safe. And so as I grow older, I disrespect my parents. I forget about them. The parents hold such a maqam that the narration say even after they die, they have huquq over you. Parents hold this power of aq, of disowning. Even after they die, they have this haqq over you. That if a parent has died and the son or the daughter, they left this world happy with them, but the son and the daughter now don't recite Fatiha for them, don't recite Quran for them. It's been years since they remembered their parents. The parents from the grave, from the barzakh, can say, Ya Allah, this son of mine, this daughter of mine, they have forgotten me. I disown them. And the one that is aqi walidain, the one that is aqi walidain is so far from Jannah that he won't even smell the scent. And the scent of Jannah travels for 70 years. That's how far he will be from heaven. The right of your father is that you should know and acknowledge that he is your root. And anything good you see in yourself that makes you pleased, know the origin of it is your father. Humble and acknowledge that it is your father. Aqi walidain, your parents don't have to tell you, get out. If you look at the riwayat in Gunahan Kabira, greater sins, look at what Ayatollah Dastaghi brings in there. If a father looks at his child with anger, Allah considers him Aqi walidain. If a child walks ahead of his father, it's Aqi walidain. Forget disrespecting. You disrespect your parents, game over. There's no salvation. One on the basis of huquq-un-nas, the other on the basis that the maqam the parents hold. Right now I want to raise my maqam higher than that of my parents. They don't know what they're talking about. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Al-adab, an yaqif al-insan inda haddih. Says adab, what is manners, is that a human being understands his boundaries and stays within those boundaries. Someone comes to visit Amir al-Mu'mineen and they're coming to eat. So Amir al-Mu'mineen, as was custom, he brought a bowl of water so that they could wash their hands. So he poured the water, the father washed the hands, and then Amir al-Mu'mineen called his son Muhammad Hanafiya. He said, come and you wash the hands of the son. The father says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why didn't you just let Muhammad Hanafiya wash my hands as well? You, Amir al-Mu'mineen, why did you wash my hands? He said, no, your son needs to understand that if I had washed his hands as well, he would have thought himself your equal. He would have thought himself your equal. He needs to understand this is the maqam of the father. Now, we try and raise our kids to be our equal. Or our kids think, they want to be our equal. You don't know what you're talking about. Allahu Akbar. Lives have been destroyed through one harsh word towards a parent. Be very careful. Spiritual ascension cannot happen if you do not observe the huquq of your parents. If you don't observe the right of your parents, be they Muslim, be they kafir, it makes no difference. Their obedience is paramount, unless they're telling you to go against the religion of God, against the laws of God. Outside of that, everything else you must obey. But on the flip side, the huquq of the children over the parents as well. The children have haqq over their parents, that they should be given good names, they should be given good tarbiyah, they should be taught about the religion of God, that the parents themselves should follow the religion. Otherwise, as I said in earlier nights, there will be times where children will grab their parents on Yawm al-Qiyamah, say, why am I going to hell? You never taught me about any of this. You didn't tell me about the importance of hijab. You didn't tell me the importance of salah. You were okay with it, with me with no hijab. You were okay with me listening to music. You were okay. Why am I going to hell? Ya Allah, it wasn't my fault. Allah says, bring the parents as well, throw them in hell as well. It's a two-way street. Striking your children, if you bruise them, there is a diyah to be paid, blood money to be paid. It's about a merciful relationship. We've lost mercy in our hearts. That there is no mercy between husband and wife. There is no mercy between parents and their children. Huquq-un-nas is extremely important. The simplest things you do have an effect. Leaving your shoes in the way, someone trips on them, that's infringement of huquq-un-nas. There were shoe racks there. Why didn't you put your shoes in the shelf? But you left it in the way. The poor soul that wears slippers to the masjid. I'm sorry, I feel it for all those that wear slippers or sliders when they come to the masjid. Because it's always the case. Someone takes your sliders and wears them to the toilet. And at the end of the day, you're looking around, where are my slippers gone? Then you go to the toilet, all right, someone's worn them to the toilet. This is dhulm. It's infringement of huquq-un-nas. You'll be held Yawm al-Qiyamah for that. You take up 2 parking spaces. Someone else can't park. Doesn't matter. You're rushing to the majlis. Your dodgy parking has affected someone else. You'll be answerable for that. You cut someone off in the road. I'm late for the majlis. Doesn't matter. Come to as many majlises. Do as much crying as you want. You infringed huquq-un-nas. Karbala isn't just about the tears, isn't just about the adha, it's about making you human. To have that fundamental mercy in your heart. You come, you push people out the way, you come, you try and stand in, prime positions, whatever it may be. All of that is huquq-un-nas. I'm going over, if we get really deeply into it, sometimes when the hall is full, and there are people who are like, hey, I usually sit at the front, just because I was late today. I still want my spot. So they'll hop over people's heads. Stepping, kicking this guy in the head, kicking that guy in the head. But I want my spot. Each of those kicks, each of those inconveniences that you did to the azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada is huquq-un-nas infringement. You'll be answerable for that. For every single one of those times you did that. And you will be asked why. Why? Why is it you thought yourself more important than others that you decided to do such a thing? And like I said, if we get deeper and deeper into it, there's a lot more that we can uncover in the things that we do, and we think, oh no, we're doing it for the religion. I wanted to get to the majlis on time. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the first thing was huquq-un-nas. And then outside of the rights of the human beings, the rights of the animals, the rights of the plants over us. Walking past the plant just because I like the look of the flower, just ripping it just for the laugh of it. Pulling a leaf off a tree, it just felt like it. These are those minutiae of spirituality that we don't pay attention to. It's very important that you observe the rights of other human beings. Without it, you can't ascend. You can't ascend. Tonight is Shab-e Ashur. There are certain adab of this night. There are certain adab of tomorrow, the day of Ashura. This night, part of it spend it in your azah, but part of it spend it in ibadat. It is makruh to sleep in this night. Stay awake until the time of Fajr, doing dua, doing azah, learning about the religion, whatever it may be. Tomorrow, when the day of Ashura dawns, it is not a day to laugh and joke. If you know there is a friend who, when you see, you'll always end up cracking a joke with them, avoid them on that day. Avoid them tomorrow. It is recommended that for the men, your sleeves be rolled and the buttons of your shirt be undone somewhat to show a sign of your sadness. Tomorrow is not a day to take lightly. It's a day of great musibah, where the whole of existence is in a state of mourning. The whole malakut is in a state of mourning. Observe the importance of that night. Observe the importance of this night and tomorrow's day. Please, as much as you can. Hair should not be styled or brushed tomorrow. To look disheveled is from amongst the adab of the day of Ashura. Because it's a day where the greatest of musibah befell mankind. Don't take it lightly. This night was very difficult for the daughters of Ali and Zahra. It's very difficult. All of the mothers with their sons, all of them were sitting there. Imam al-Hussein gathered his ashab and he said to them that those of you that want to go, leave, for tomorrow we will all be killed. Tomorrow is the day where none will be spared. And Imam al-Hussein extinguished the light, the candles. So if you want, take a family member of mine with you. But when he relit the candles, those ashab, all of them with tears in their eyes, Ya ibn Rasulillah, we will never leave you. We will never leave you. Even if they come and they cut our bodies to pieces and they set us on fire and scatter our ashes into the wind, and if they were to do this 70 times, we will never leave you, Ya Aba Abdullah. Imam al-Hussein accepting, he showed each of them their maqam in Jannah. Burayr, this is where you will be. Habib, look at where you will be. Muslim ibn al-Sajjah, this is where you will be. All of them spent the night in ibadah. Said it was as if it was like the buzzing of bees coming from a hive. The sound of tasbih, the sound of salah, the sound of Quran was coming from the khayyam of Hussein alayhi salam. And the mothers were sitting with their children, preparing them. Farwa was sitting with her Qasim, saying, Qasim, make sure you go out tomorrow and give your life. Zainab was preparing Aun and Muhammad. Make sure you go out tomorrow and give your life for your uncle. All of the mothers were preparing. But there was one such mother who didn't even know that her son would be killed tomorrow. Rabab didn't know. Rabab's only concern was her child hasn't drank water. This musibah is that one musibah that breaks the hearts of every one of the awliya of Allah. This is that one musibah, this young child. The sixth Imam says that whenever you want to raise your hands and do dua, give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the haqq of that shaheed 3 times, that madhloom 3 times. They said, Imam, which madhloom? He says, the 6-month-old child of Abi Abdullah. For that child had no sin on the day of Ashura. The death of Ali Asghar was so painful for Ali Muhammad that when Minhal would come to Imam al-Sajjad and tell him that Mukhtar has caught this person, has caught that person, the only thing Imam al-Sajjad would ask, Minhal, have they caught Harmala yet? This death was so difficult for Abi Abdullah that he could not weep with his family members. When Ali Akbar came, he wept with his family. When Qasim's body came, he wept with his family. Awan and Muhammad came, he wept with his family. But this one shaheed is so difficult that Abu Abdullah called out to you, his Shi'as. He said, Shi'ati, laytakum fi yawmi Ashura, jami'an tanzaruni, kayfa astasqi litifli, fa'abaw an yarhamuni. Oh my Shi'as, how I wish you were there on the day of Ashura, and you would have seen how I took my 6-month-old child out, and what mercy they showed me, Hussein. This one madhloom, this one gharib is such that it breaks even the hardest of hearts. If you have not been able to cry in these 10 nights, for the sake of Ali Asghar, ask Allah to forgive your sins, those sins that are stopping your tears from falling from your eyes, for Imam al-Hussein, for the madhloomiyat of Abi Abdullah. The day of Ashura dawned. All of the shuhada went one by one. Bani Hashim went. Abbas's body lies on the banks of Furat. And Hussein alayhi salam stands all alone on the plains of Karbala. Hal min nasir yansuruna? Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to come and defend the honor of the haram of Rasulullah? When there is no reply, Hussein alayhi salam prepares himself to go to the battlefield. He rides to his tent. He calls out, "Oh sister Zainab, nawilini waladi al-radi'. Oh Zainab, bring to me my 6-month-old child so that I can bid him farewell." Imam al-Hussein wanted to bid farewell to Ali Asghar. But I don't know what it was that changed the mind of Hussein alayhi salam. Maybe it was, as the Maqtal says, that the child's skin had become pale from thirst. That it was so difficult that the child now at this point was between life and death. Imam Hussein looked down at his child. The Maqatil say, all at this point Ali Asghar could do, his eyes had rolled into the back of his head, and all he could do was open and close his mouth. He had no strength to move his body. Hussein looks down at his child. He turns and he goes towards the battlefield. Hamid ibn Muslim says, we saw Hussein coming. He had something wrapped in his aba. We thought maybe Hussein has brought the Quran. Maybe Hussein is asking for mercy. But when he came forward, he pulled back his aba. We saw a small child in his hands. Abi Abdullah says, "In lam tarhamuni," if you're not going to have mercy on me, then at least have mercy on my child. At least have mercy on my child. The army of Yazid began to change. Umar ibn Sa'd came looking. He says, "Where is Harmala?" He comes to Harmala and says, "Harmala, cut off the words of Hussein." Harmala says, "Umar ibn Sa'd, who should I go in for, the father or the child?" He says, "Do you see the white spot on the neck of the boy?" Harmala takes him with a three-headed arrow, an arrow that is used to slaughter camels. Where is the neck of a camel? And where is the neck of a 6-month-old child? He fires his arrow towards Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar, Imam, holds up the child. Your Imam says in Ziyaratun Nahiya, Assalamu ala al-tifl al-radi', mazbuh min al-wazn ila al-wazn. My salams be upon that child that was slaughtered from ear to ear. يا صاحب الزمان ساعد الله قلبك يا أبا عبد الله. when Mukhtar caught Harmala, he said to him, Mal'oon, tell me, what is it that you did in Karbala? He said, Mukhtar, I fired 4 arrows that hit their target. He said, what were those 4 arrows? He said, I fired 1 arrow that pierced the water bag of Abbas. The second arrow that I fired on the day of Ashura was into the neck of the 6-month-old child of Hussein. The third arrow that I fired was a 3-headed poisoned arrow that I fired into the chest of Hussein. The 4th arrow that I fired was when Abdullah ibn Hassan came running to Hussein, and I fired this arrow into the chest of the boy and killed him in the lap of Hussein. Mukhtar says to him, Mal'oon, did your heart not break for Hussein at any time? He says, Mukhtar, if you ask me, there was one time when my heart broke for Hussein. He said, when was it? He says, when I fired that 3-headed arrow into the neck of Ali Asghar, I looked at the face of Hussein. Hussein looked down at the child. He looked up towards the heavens. I knew at that point that Hussein was truly Gharib. Tomorrow on the day of Ashura, you will do the A'mal which imitates what Abi Abdullah did. 7 times he walked forward saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, radamma qallahi wa tasliman li-amrih. Then he walks back again, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, radamma qallahi wa tasliman li-amrih. Hussein thinking, how will I show Rabab? What will I tell Sakina? How will I show Zainab? Abi Abdullah goes to behind the tents. He begins to dig a grave with his sword. He places the body, before he places the body of Ali Asghar in the earth, he holds on to the body of Ali. فَبَكَى الْحُسَيْنُ بُكَاءً شَدِيدًا. Abi Abdullah began wailing loudly. Nowhere else in Karbala was there a voice heard from the heavens except at this point, as Hussein holds on to the body of Ali Asghar and begins crying loudly. A voice comes from the heavens, Hussein, leave the child, for we have wet nurses waiting for him in heaven. Abu Abdullah places Ali Asghar in the ground. He begins to pour the burning sands of Karbala on his body. He hears someone running from behind him. Ya Abu Abdullah, let me see my child one last time. Rabab is coming. She sees the child. The first thing Rabab can say Oh my child, the likes of you slaughtered in the way of the camels. Abu Abdullah covers the body of Ali Asghar with the burning sands of Karbala. وَضَعَ خَدَّهُ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ. He places his cheek on the grave. It is mustahab to pour water on a grave after you have buried. But Hussein is so madhloom. Hussein has no water to pour on the grave of his daughter. Instead, he places his cheek on the grave. He begins to cry loudly. Ali Asghar, your father has no water. His tears will be the water of your grave. Ya Aba Abdullah, Sa'ad Allahu qalbaka, Ya Aba Abdullah. That moment was very difficult for Imam al-Hussein. If it wasn't the night of Ashura, I wouldn't recite this next riwayah. My mothers will forgive me. Those that have young children, please forgive me. Ya Aba Abdullah, the day of Ashura was very difficult for you. Burying Ali Asghar was very difficult for you. But Ya Aba Abdullah, come on the 11th of Muharram and ask Rabab how she stayed alive. On the 11th of Muharram, they began to count the heads of the shuhada and give a head to all of those that had trampled the body of Hussein. All the heads had been distributed. One man came forward, Umar ibn Sa'ad, I also trampled the body of Hussein. Please give me one of the heads. They said, all of the heads have been distributed. This man said, no, I also trampled the body of Hussein. The riwayah says, there was a man standing there that said, I said something that for the rest of my life I regretted. I said to him, Umar ibn Sa'ad, what about the 6-month-old child of Hussein? He says, what about the child? He says, I saw Hussein take him where the tents used to be, and he buried him behind the tents. Ya Sahib az-Zahar. Umar ibn Sa'ad ordered men upon their horses with spears in their hands. They began riding around the earth, striking the ground with their spears. Rabab was watching. Sakina was watching. One man struck the earth. He pulled out his spear. The body of Ali Asghar. He takes the body. He pulls the head from the body. He throws the body to the Rabab. Oh,